Hello everybody and welcome to part 1 of our Halloween color along. I am super excited to start recording this. I'm also super late because so much has been going on. I was sick and blah blah blah, but I'm hoping to have this up for you guys as I normally would, and I am going to power on through recording these. So on the plus side, everything should be pretty cohesive because I won't be leaving it for long lengths of time. So I put a link to a poll up on the community tabs on YouTube a while ago, and I let you guys choose what page you wanted to color, but I kept it secret. So the page that got the most votes was Witch's Brew. So we're going to be working on this little lady, and I'm so excited. So with that being said, let's not waste any time. We'll throw a couple pieces of paper behind just to protect the pages behind this one, and then we will dive right on in. I am recording on my phone. Hopefully it's okay. I'll just have to try to remember to move it around. So I think what I want to do first is kind of like the wood paneling behind her here. But as strange as it's going to be, I'm going to grab some potion colors first. I'm actually going to grab the chartreuse and just going to lightly color a little bit around the bubbles here. Say maybe ½ centimeter around them, because I want them to look like they're glowing. And if I don't do that now, I'll forget when I'm coloring the wood paneling, and then we'll kind of be out of luck. So I'm going to do it now, so that way it's kind of a reminder. Not really sure exactly how I'm going to go about this. As always, I am just winging it, and you guys are along for the ride, and hopefully it turns out good. But as always, you guys will be able to know if it did or not because you will see the thumbnail. Okay, I think that's all of those bubbles. Actually, we got a couple more here. Let's keep it cohesive, so we'll do the same thing here. Like how she's just staring at these floating bubbles, just kind of like wistfully daydreaming. Let's do the same thing with this one here. Even though it's not really touching any of the wood paneling, but we'll just do it just because. Okay, so we'll set this back for now, and then we will grab the colors that we're going to be using, which I don't think that is one of them. That does not belong there. Okay. Put my book somewhere. There it is. Kind of keeping a list of the colors I wanted to use just so it's a little bit easier. Okay, so the only other one we need is this one. And then I will need my pencil extender. Because my dark umber is getting kind of tiny. He's little. Okay. So we got these colors. I'm gonna grab these quick. So I think we're just gonna go in with the light umber. Don't you run away on me. Okay. We're gonna go in with the light umber just kind of as a base. So I'm just gonna lightly just pop this in. Really messy too, because it's wood, so it's gonna be grainy, and I'm not too worried if it looks neat at the moment. I'll put that right there, so that way I know that that's where the camera cuts off view. I'll have to move it a little bit just for that. So hopefully everybody's been doing good. Kind of excited for Halloween, whether or not we get to go trick-or-treating or not, I'm not really sure, but either way, if they kind of kibosh the whole trick-or-treating thing, then we've got a backup plan, which Carbon is actually really excited about anyways, so he's still gonna dress up and we'll hide candy around the house, kind of like Easter style, and play some spooky music and have some candles and just dim lighting for him to run around the house and search for stuff, and then maybe do like a pizza night and watch a wrong holiday, watch a Halloween movie. Although we could mix the two by watching Nightmare Before Christmas, because it's kind of both, but okay, I'm going to find my phone, find a reference picture here, just to kind of base stuff off of. So as always, going to go to the Hannah Lynn group and just type in Witch's Brew in the search bar and click on the album. And find one that looks fairly clear where I can kind of see what everything is. Okay. So that's wood paneling. So is that. Behind this would be as well, and I feel like we'd kind of be able to see this board coming through the hourglass because it would be clear, right? So we'd be able to see that, and my line is totally not straight, but that's okay. Oops. Go right about there. I guess we don't need to go to the very bottom of the page because the paneling only comes down to about here. Don't really know if this is hair or I'm gonna leave it as hair, I think. Let's see if I can find another. This reference picture isn't very clear. They colored it as the board and I don't know if I really like that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave this whole blob here as hair. Pretty sure that's what it is because it's like all wavy, so we will leave that. I also feel like we'll see a little bit of the board here because that line should come like across, so I'm just gonna add a little bit in there just because I'm OCD and things have to make sense. Okay. I don't know if I want to do the shelves the same color. Like I think I want them to stand out. Obviously they're going to be wood because they're wood grained, but I think we might make them a little bit lighter. This is going to be a pretty dark background, which is going to be nice because it's going to make the cauldron pop, whatever's in it. I don't know what it is, some kind of potion. So we're going to do that like a super bright green. I'm going to go for... This was Chibi Girls Horror. I've only colored one page in here, even though it's like one of my favorite Halloween books. But I kind of want the potion to take on this super luminescent effect that I was able to get with the slime here. So that is going to brighten up a lot, and if we have a really dark background, it's going to contrast a lot, which is going to make it appear even brighter. So that's the plan there. It's also going to help our spider webs show up because it's going to be really dark, and we're going to go over those with white so that way they really stand out. But it also creates kind of a conundrum because we're going to have like 3 different colors of wood here because I don't overly want her spoon or the broom to match either the wall or the shelves. So we'll see. We might make the shelves the same color as the wall, just a lighter version of it. We will play it by ear and kind of see how it goes. So now that we've got a good base on that, let's come back in with our black and we'll start adding in some shadows and stuff. So this little swirly knot here, I really want to accentuate that because that's fun. I really like that. We're going to put a lot of character into the background, especially because it's going to be so dark and kind of foreboding. It's going to be lost in the background anyway, so we might as well add a little bit of extra detail to still make it look pretty neat. So I'm just going to color over these lines, kind of fade them out, maybe drag them down a little bit, elongate them. Use big fancy words so I sound smart. Hopefully they mean what I think they mean. Just kidding. I love how just adding shadows already like starts bringing this to life. It's been way too long since I colored. Okay, well maybe just focus on one area at a time. We'll kind of work in sections like we normally do. Just so it doesn't get overwhelming. Maybe add a little bit of a shadow around her hat. That'll kind of help her hat pop out from the background as well. I don't know what color to do it though. I'm a little bit stuck on colors for her. I'm thinking like bright red hair though, because that would really contrast with the potion, and it would just add a lot of oomph to the page and look really good against the really dark background. But I don't know. I don't really know any other hair colors to do because obviously we're not going to go with brown because we have so much brown already. We could do blonde, but I don't know if that's really going to go with the picture. Another thing that I'm kind of excited for, and hopefully it works out, is since she's like right in front of this cauldron, we're going to try and do some like green glow on her face. So her highlights will be kind of like green, tinted green, just so you can tell that the light on her face is coming from the potion that she's brewing. I'm just going to try and match up the thickness here with the black to make it look like that line's just going in there. And then, let's see, I want to add, as if there's a line here, I want to create a little bit of black around here too. So I want to keep it pretty dark. So I think that's enough with the black for now. We'll switch to the dark umber. And with this, as per usual, we're just going to go actually sharpen it first. I can grab my pencil sharpener. I really like this swivel chair. I can roll around. It's not super squeaky. I'm sure that probably annoyed a lot of you guys in my older videos. I still have it. It's right beside me, but it's nice to be able to just kind of roll around and grab things as I need them. It's very convenient and fun. I catch my kiddo in here sometimes just playing with the chair, rolling around on it and spinning himself. Okay, so we're going to go over the black and then just bring it out as we normally would. Since it's a wood background too, we might not have to, I haven't recorded in so long, I'm forgetting my words. Burnish. We might not have to burnish the background, which would be nice because it's a huge area and burnishing is a lot of work. But I think that the graininess of the pencil might add to it. So once it's done, we'll kind of see what it looks like and decide from there. If we burnish it, it'll look more like a smooth, kind of glossy, maybe like varnished wood. But I think I want it to look kind of rustic and just old and rough. But we'll see. See how the picture goes. We might even change it down the road if it doesn't quite match. It's already looking pretty cool. I like it. Definitely gonna have to try and stream this month too. But kind of see how that goes. I'm on the fence about participating in Inktober with everything going on. There's like this whole accusal of Jake Parker plagiarizing somebody else's book, and I'm not gonna get too into it because honestly I think it should be between them and them only. But I just feel like it's kind of tainted now, so I might still just do it because honestly I don't really care who created Inktober. I really don't care at all. It's just fun and it's a challenge, and I never force myself to draw, so it's kind of nice to push myself out of my comfort zone, but we'll see. I usually suck at it. Like keeping up, I mean. I'm like very bad at actually doing the whole everyday thing. I get so behind. So it's just like, oh, I'll catch up tomorrow, and then it's like, oh, maybe the next day. Oh, the next day. Same with recording. I'm like, oh, I have lots of time to record, and then I look at the calendar and there's like 5 days. And I'm like, oh, I'm running behind. All right, that looks pretty cool. Let's go in with our light umber now. I think, do we want to, or do we want to just kind of leave? I'm kind of liking it like that. Okay, we'll sharpen this. We'll go in like a small spot so it's not too noticeable and see what it'll look like and go from there. I mean, we don't have to add a whole lot. It does kind of brown it up a little bit. I think I want to leave it. I want to leave it like this. So let's not use the light umber here, and maybe that's how we can differentiate between the bookcases and the wall. Just gonna erase that. Don't want it. I'm just gonna touch it up with the dark umber. I'm actually thinking, so I don't know if I want to just leave it like this either though. It does look cool, but it also looks unfinished. Let's grab this. I'm thinking kind of like ginger root-ish color. Something more like a putty beige or like a ginger root, or maybe like 10% French gray, although I'm actually kind of like this kind of range. It's close to the putty beige, but it's more on the gray side. Let's go with the 20% French gray. So I'm just going to quickly grab swatches for that, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so let's get the light umber out of here for now. We're not going to use that, maybe later. I'm going to come in with the 20% French gray. I'm mostly going to hit the highlights and then just lightly blend it into the shadows. I don't want it to mess with it too much because otherwise it'll lighten up the colors and we don't want that. But I also just don't want to leave this completely white. We might lightly go in with the burnishing or the blender pencil just to mix them up a little bit without lightening it or darkening it up too much. I'm loving that. That looks awesome. See, I always think I know what I'm doing, and then I always change my mind halfway through. That's okay. It's all in the process. Sometimes you don't really see something until it's actually on the page. It's hard to kind of judge what everything's going to look like. I mean, you can have an idea, but not fully know how it's actually going to turn out. I actually don't think I'm going to blend that yet. I want to leave this as is, and we can always blend it or touch it up in the future, but we can't get it back to this state, so we're not going to jump the gun on that one. Oh, and I did actually want to use the Tuscan red for that too, but you know what? We're not going to, especially if we end up doing her hair red. That's actually probably a bad idea. So let's continue. Grab another section. And same thing, we're just gonna kind of add to these lines and stuff. We do definitely need a little bit more shadow on this side, so I'll just maybe bring this out a little bit. We get another swoopy circle thing here. Just gonna go all around the inside and then kind of fade that out a bit. Same thing as before, I'm just gonna lightly put a little bit of a shadow just around her hat so that way her hat just fully stands out on its own. Maybe add a line here. definitely going with the whole less is more thing, and hopefully it'll end up working in our favor. I really don't know how to do these little bubbles though. I'm just gonna lightly do what I would normally do. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing that we're doing on the rest of this. I'm just gonna do it really light. Hopefully that'll kind of help with the effect that we want. So I'll go like dark down here and then lighten it up as I get kind of close to this, and then go back to it being dark. It's kind of like we're fading it out, just kind of around wherever one of these things are. Let's see, we should be able to do this whole area kind of down to here. Let's continue this one. And then we'll go in with the dark umber. And I'm just going to add this in over top of the black, bring it out to the huge. Darken this area up a little bit more, especially since it's right around a spider web. Really want these shadows to stand out. Okay. We'll go in with our 20% French gray now. Same thing, we're going to focus on the highlighted areas and just lightly blend it into our shadows. Thankfully it blends fairly easily, so we don't have to go into the shadows too much. Don't mind the little birds chirping outside the window. Although that one's more squawking. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. Okay, Okay, so I think we might have to add some of the potion colors in here. Let's grab the two lighter ones. So we've got chartreuse and spring green. We'll start with the spring green here. This will be our kind of our test one. So I'm just going to go around the outside with the spring green and just fade it out. And then I'm going to go in with the chartreuse and I'm just going to bring this out just a little bit. There, we want it to be pretty subtle. So I think that's fairly good. We'll brighten it up eventually, but hopefully. Okay. Let's continue. So I'm thinking that we'll just do about like an hour and 20-minute long videos. And if we can't wrap it up in 4 parts, which I think we need to have technically 4 parts, that we need to have, but that's the goal. Oh, we have 5 Fridays. Never mind, we'll just do hour-long segments, otherwise we probably won't have anything for the 5th Friday. Almost should have put some more complicated pictures as options. This one's fairly basic. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't mean like it's not beautiful or anything, but there's just sometimes when we have 5 Fridays, it's kind of nice to go with a really complex, detailed one, just so we can really make the most of our time. But on that same note, we can spend some time on this one. We don't have to rush or any of that, which will be nice. I'm just like all anti-rushing lately, just taking my time, probably more than I should. That's why I'm like behind on everything, but it's been nice because I'm usually the type of person that just rushes around and is like very chaotic. So finding that I'm really enjoying just enjoying things. This seems like one long panel here, or wide, I mean. I want this line to go through those because we want them to seem kind of translucent. Definitely gonna have to add some lines to this board to kind of help give us places to shadow it. I think I want to create a shadow underneath these boards as much as we can. This might be a little bit tricky with these little orbs here, but do what we can, and then maybe just shadow around the hinges too, the plants and stuff. maybe leave it like that, I think. I'm gonna add, no, I'm gonna leave it. You can have some lighter boards too, that'll help make it look a little bit more interesting. Okay. Coffee is my best friend today. And like every day, especially with working mornings. I'm not a morning person, but I'm definitely finding that I like working mornings a lot more. I had to switch to mornings because Carbon's in school, so if I work 2 to 10, I get to see him for a little bit in the morning, and then I don't get to see him for the rest of the days, so it wasn't really working for me. So I don't really like waking up so early, but I'm not working quite as much anymore now that I'm working with Hannah. And I find that I feel like I have a lot more to my day if I work mornings, because if I work till 10, then I'm usually like up till like midnight, 1 o'clock. And then I sleep a lot because I'm so tired. But if I'm like forced to like wake up in the morning, I have to get up to my alarm. It's not so bad. I don't sleep so much, which is, I feel better. But trying to make myself wake up any other day if I don't have to work is like pulling teeth. Is anybody else like that? You literally just hate waking up. I think for me, part of that is my depression too. I have a tendency to oversleep, which is silly because it never makes me feel better. Okay. I want to create like a see-through effect with this. I'm not quite sure how to go about it though, so I'm just gonna do the same thing that I'm kind of doing with these little orbs. I'm going to just lightly color it, and then I'm hoping we can just color over it with blue to create like a glass looking thing, so that way it's see-through but you can still tell that there's glass there. Hopefully that'll work. I don't know what I'm doing. Always try out new techniques on a separate piece of paper. Don't be like me. I have a general idea because I've done similar things, but I'm like always nervous every time I do it. Don't mind my tummy. I might have to do a food break after we're done recording this one. And then get right back into it. I'm gonna do 2 today and then at least 1 tomorrow. I work tomorrow. But we will get there. So then I at least have a little less than a week to edit everything, which thankfully with the new computer it's not too bad. It's actually really quick. I don't have to like leave it for like 8 hours like I had to do on Reigns. It usually takes like an hour, maybe 2. Work drama. Not pertaining to me. My boss actually the other day, she's like, Sky, we need to talk. And I'm like, am I in trouble? She's like, no, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have worded it like that. I was like, oh, good. Because I do what I can to stay out of trouble. It's actually like a gift and a curse. We have a new guy, and I'm going to be by myself with him for an afternoon, which is fine because I can handle it, and that's why I'm working that shift. But it also makes it so I can kind of help train him and show him how to do the little bit of extra things and the small things that make my job and everybody else's jobs a little bit easier. So it'd be nice to hopefully have somebody else that can kind of help ensure that the job goes well. Sometimes it's those small things that you do that makes it easier down the road. Hopefully this isn't too light. I kind of like it though. I think we will leave it. Just think what I'm gonna do, because I'd like it to look a little bit more glowy than this, honestly. So I'm gonna skip the spring green. I don't think we're gonna use that one yet. We'll just stick with the chartreuse as a highlight. And instead of going in with our French gray right away, I think we'll go in with this right away, so that way that green really sticks. So I'm just gonna go and just pop this in lightly and fade it out. And then we'll come in with our 20% French gray and kind of do our thing with it and just lightly fade it into the chartreuse instead of trying to fade the chartreuse over this. That way that green is there a little bit more. It still looks like there's wood in behind it, which is what we want, but it's not as dull as this. It's brighter and it actually looks like it's glowing, and that's what we want. It looks strange because it's unfinished. It's just like a whitish brown glowing circle. But hopefully it'll look better once we kind of get to adjusting that. Just gonna avoid this area for now. So I don't really want to do that until we do like this whole other side. This probably should have been a little bit lighter, but we'll leave it. So that probably should have been glowing too, but that's okay. Just lightly over here. The other nice thing about not burnishing it or anything right now is we can always add to our shadows too if we need to. Some of these areas might need to be darkened up a little bit, but I don't know if I feel like that because there's so much white on the page that it looks really bright. Once we add color to everything, it might look different, so it's kind of nice to be able to leave it. Let's do the same thing with these bubbles here before we get too far in there. We'll grab the chartreuse. We are in frame. Good. Just gonna lightly go over this thing here too. We'll add more brown to it though, so it doesn't look like it's just glowing as well. Yeah, I think that definitely helps it appear glowing instead of just like yucky, like moldy wood. And then we'll just blend into that a little bit. All right, last section of wood. And we'll go through the exact same steps. There's so many bubbles here, I don't know what to do. I definitely want to add a couple lines up here. Because again, spider web, so we want that area to be fairly dark. And let's just lightly go down this way. We'll extend that a little bit. So I feel like this little triangle here would be floor. Just add some more lines in here again. Down here to be especially dark, I think. Reason being because I think most of the glow from the cauldron would be going up, so down here would be fairly dark anyways, and then that'll really make this spider web especially stand out. Okay, hopefully that's enough. Let's add a little bit more shadow on this side, but hopefully that'll give us enough room to create some decent shadows here. And then we'll switch to the dark umber. Just gonna carry on. Start down here while I know I'm in frame. hopefully it ends up turning out good. I'm a little bit worried, honestly. I think it'll look good. I'm not sure if it's going to look how I pictured it. Which, you know, isn't, as long as it looks good, I'm not too worried. It'd be nice to find a foolproof way on how to do this. Let's add a little bit more shadow on this side too. Fade up into there. Okay, I think we're gonna leave our shadows like this. Maybe add just a little bit more up here. Around just the top of that spider web. Okay, then we're gonna come in with our chartreuse, same thing. Pretty heavy around the bubble, and then we're gonna fade it out. Kind of using like a medium pressure. I feel like they look like they're glowing. I would like to do the spider webs now, but just on the off chance that we do end up burnishing or adding anything to the background, we'd better wait. So we'll come in with our French gray, and same thing as before. Kind of blending it into these little orbs, the glowy bits. So we did that already. All right, so we're pretty close to an hour. I think we're gonna leave it there for now until next time. Ooh, I think from a distance on the camera, it definitely does look like they're glowing. I'm super excited to see how this turns out. So that is it for part one. Hopefully you guys are enjoying, and as always, take care, and I will see you next time. Bye!